Well, a little movement, we are told, has been heard. We had an interview a little bit earlier on that will be aired here on Newsroom Africa just throughout the day with Loyiso Masuku, who's the MMC here in Johannesburg, telling us that there has been public participation processes that had kick-started, and that in itself will give you an indication that the Lanseria area will then now be turned into a construction site as soon as visibly possible. And of course, indicating that it is a number of departments that are working in conjunction with the city of Johannesburg and the city of Tshwane to ensure that Lanseria becomes a building site as soon as possible. And perhaps we'll get some light from the president in his State of the Nation address later on today. But with me now is an economist and researcher here in Johannesburg, the Institute. Of course, she'll give me an indication as to what... If we are, as an individual, a country, Sonia Phalatse, is there an indication that there is movement as far as infrastructure development in our country?
Thank you. Well, if 2020 has taught us anything, it is that South Africa has deep structural economic problems that need addressing urgently. And this includes infrastructure development. We've seen how impossible it has been for people to social distance, for example, in informal settlements. We've seen how difficult it is for people to frequently wash their hands in the context of a health crisis. We've seen how important it is for the healthcare infrastructure to be radically improved. So yeah, there's still a lot that needs to be done, and there's still a lot of underdeveloped areas that need desperate attention.
And perhaps maybe just to check what now, has the government done anything to ensure that there is development in poor areas?
I think, we shouldn't negate the work that the government has done to improve access to infrastructure since 1994. And we welcome the government's focus on infrastructure in its infrastructure-led recovery program Ramaphosa outlined last year. However, we are hesitant or skeptical about the focus on private financing in getting there, as it perpetuates or reduces some of the underdevelopment patterns that we're seeing now. And the reason why I say that is because private investors are concerned not primarily with meeting developmental outcomes, right? They are concerned with meeting a bottom line. They're concerned with making profits. And so, for example, the Gautrain is geographically situated in an area like Sandton or Rosebank where people are most likely be able to afford, for example. And so it's very important that the government takes a leading role in the infrastructure-led program. That being said, there's also been a massive underspend in infrastructure in South Africa. Just last year, our Minister of Infrastructure and Public Works, Patricia de Lille, outlined to Parliament that total underspend in infrastructure by the public sector amounted to just over 120 billion rand. And I think this speaks to the critically underspend in infrastructure that the government needs to focus on.
Definitely, that's Sonia Phalatse there. Give us an indication there about the shortfalls that the government is coming through and spending less on infrastructure, as there has to be they have to spend quite more to ensure that the rollout programs are being undertaken. That is Sonia Phalatse, the economist and researcher at the Institute for Economic Justice, giving us a breakdown and the expectations, of course, as we wait for the president to speak at the much anticipated State of the Nation address at 7 o'clock later this evening. Bo?